Hello and welcome to another tutorial by Harpy Cloud Solutions. Today we are going to be creating a golden image, and with that image we're going to create an Azure Virtual Desktop host pool with its session hosts. Also, during the creation of the image, there is a system preparation that goes on the virtual machine where all the initial apps are created and the virtual machine is being used to create the image. So during that system preparation process, there's an error that a lot of people are likely to encounter. In this video, we're going to resolve that error and everything should be working fine for you. Okay, so let's get to it. Firstly, you want to start by going to the Azure portal. And when you're in the portal, go to virtual machines. All right. So we're going to create a new virtual machine. For this, we're creating a Windows 11 Enterprise virtual machine. The OS that you're going to use depends on the type of image you want to create. So, for example, for this purpose, I need an image that I can use to deploy various session hosts for a data team. So, in this virtual machine, I'm also going to install some data applications like SQL Management Studio, Miniconda, Git, Visual Studio Code, and so on and so forth. So, let's start by creating one. All right, so I'm just going to select a resource group. You can give it a region of your choice. I'm selecting Australia East because that's where I am. Scroll down, leave it as it is, or change options based on your choice. So the next thing now is to select an image. So I'm going to select Windows 11 Enterprise. All right. So let's go with the latest one, which is 23H2. So I'm going to leave the size as it is, 4 cores, 16 gig RAM. So username, password. All right. I confirm. Next. For this, I'm just going to be standard HDD. Next. So for this, I'm going to create a new. No, thank you. For this, I'm going to create a new virtual network, a new subnet, a new public IP. For your case, if you are doing this for a production environment, you most likely not want a public IP. So you just click none. All right. And then you can then access the VM using your corporate network or VPN or a bastion host. For this, I'm just going to use a public IP and leave everything as it is. All right. Next, management. Leave everything as it is. I'm going to disable monitoring because this is just for test. I don't need it for production. So, all right. So next tags, I'm just going to say purpose tutorial. All right. And next, review plus create. As we wait for that to validate. Right. So now click create. So now I've clicked create. It's going to take some seconds or minutes to create the virtual machine. And when it is done, we'll get into it and then install all the applications that are required. The virtual machine is done creating. So I'm just going to click go to resource. I'm just going to click connect. Download RDP file. Get into the virtual machine. All right. So now we're in the virtual machine. I'm just going to give it some time for it to load. And then when that's done, we'll come back in and install all the applications. So just configuring the virtual machine. Just going to click on next and accept. And we're in. So now I'm just going to go into Edge. I don't want to sync any of my data. Just going to continue without it. All right. So right now I want to start by downloading. I want to start by downloading the applications that I need. And I'll start with Visual Studio Code. Download. System installer. So for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to showcase how I'm downloading two applications, okay? Why I said that is because the application that you're downloading might be very different from the ones that I'm downloading. The applications that you need might be very different from the applications that I need. So just to establish the baseline of how to do things, I'm just going to install two applications and then we'll prep the virtual machine for image purposes. All right. I'm just going to go to it through downloads. All right. While this is installing, I would download another application, and the application that I'm going to download is Python. All right, so let's do that. So I'm selecting the 64-bit because that's what I need. All right, my Visual Studio Code install is done. So that's great. Let's continue with installation for Python. Run as admin. So I usually just like choosing a location. So I'm going to choose the program files location for this. All right. Install. So yeah, Visual Studio Code is installed and it launched at completion. So I'm just going to close this and wait for Python to be done. When that is done, I'm going to do one more thing before I run Sysprep to generalize the VM. I'm going to check for any Windows update just so that my image is having the latest update at that point in time. So checking for updates. All right, so my Python downloaded. My Python sounded like my Python. Okay, so the Python software, more like it, the Python software downloaded successfully. And I'll just close this. And as you can see here, when I checked for updates, it showed that there were 5 updates. So right now they are downloading and installed into my system. Some of them might require for me to restart my system. So we're just going to wait and see how it goes. You can see here a number of updates have been downloaded and installed to my system, but there's one here that needs me to restart my system for it to kick in. So I'm going to restart this virtual machine that we just created, and once it has been restarted, then we'll go in and run Sysprep. So the virtual machine is done restarting, and there's one optional thing that is also advised when you're doing this process is at this stage where you have installed the application, you are advised to shut down your VM. Like I said, it's also optional. Shut down the VM and take a snapshot of the disk. Okay. And the purpose for this is when creating an image out of that VM, if you encounter any error or any issue, you can create a new VM from the disk that you took a snapshot of. All right. So with that, this is the disk for the VM. You go into it and then you create a snapshot. But for this purpose, we are not creating a snapshot for it. We're just going to go straight into accessing the virtual machine. All right. So let's get into it. All right. All right. So as you saw, I got into the VM, clicked on run on the search bar here, and then typed Sysprep, and then it opened this up to me. So you just want to double click on this, all right, and then it's going to ask you some options to choose from. So for this, we're going to go with Enter System Out of Box Experience. We're going to click on Generalize, and then we're going to click on Shutdown. So this is the error that I was talking about that most likely people face when working with Sysprep. And it says Sysprep was not able to validate your Windows installation. Review the log file at so and so path. After resolving this issue, use Sysprep to validate your installation again. Fine and good. Do not fret. We're about to resolve that. So just go to your PowerShell. All right. So what I need is to open my PowerShell as an administrator. So I have that opened. And I'm just going to run this command. Okay. And enter. So there will be a lot of errors, and that's basically because one, some parts are actually not available because it's saying that it's going to search through all the parts that pertain to maybe a particular user profile. But still, like I say, do not fret. Let's continue. This one that I'm also about to run, you get a lot of errors just because there's some apps that are not installed on the laptop or does not pertain to particular users. So let's continue. Enter. So if you can see this flashing here, there's a lot of errors, but then some of it have the result of complete. So we're just going to wait for that to be done. You see, some of them may have completed because it's actually relevant to this virtual machine. All right. I don't want to pause the video and come back to it because I want you all to see the whole process of the fix. Okay. Still running. Let's give it some minutes. All right, great. So it's completed now. You can go ahead and close your PowerShell. And we're going to run Sysprep again. And like I said, it works. So what you have to do is basically, what we did to resolve the issue, with validating an image was by removing the pre-installed Windows packages. Okay. And sometimes it installs packages and does it on a per user basis or assigns it to a user profile. So what we did was just to remove those packages, and now everything works fine. So once this generalization is done on your laptop, it's going to shut it down. All right, so it's completed, and now it's saying my remote desktop session has ended because it has shut down the virtual machine. So I'm just going to click OK, and it's brought me here. So it's currently in the process of shutting down. So I'm going to come back to it once it's shut down, and then we can create our image. As you can see here, it says VM stopping right here. We want to move forward by creating an image from this virtual machine. So click on capture. All right. I'm going to leave it in the same resource group, same region, and for target Azure Compute Gallery, I'm going to create a new one. So this is going to create an Azure Compute Gallery in your portal. So Azure Compute Gallery is a different service on Azure that enables you to store your images. All right. So just as it is a gallery for holding your images. So I'm just going to call this AVD image win 11. All right. So click on OK. I want it to be generalized. So for target VM image definition, I'm also going to create a new one, and I'll give it a name of Windows. Let me see, Windows 11 Enterprise 23H2. Okay. Everything, leave it as it is. Select OK. So my version number, I'm giving it 1.0.0. So if you create like a new one, you can give it 2.0.0 and leave everything as it is. For my secondary zone, I'm just going to select Australia Southeast. Australia Southeast. I don't want anything much for this, so I'll go with standard HDD. Next is tags. I'm just going to move forward. View plus create. Go through what you selected. All right, everything looks good. So now we are creating the image. So what we get from this process is the actual image being created. All right, so here we create the image from the virtual machine. The image is being stored in the Azure Compute Gallery, and then it has its, virtual machine image definition. So in case you create a new one later, you can give it a version number like 2.0.0, so you can differentiate which image you want to use at any point in time. All right, so I'm just gonna wait for this to be done creating and then come back to it. Now we have our image created and can be found in the compute gallery. So I can just do this Azure Compute Gallery. All right, so click on it. And this is the one that we created. Go to it. And then I can see the image definition that I created. I click on it. And here you can see the latest version of my image, which is the 1.0.0. So now from this image, we are going to create the session host, all right, that would make up the host pool for my data analysts or the data engineers in my team. I hope you've learned a lot, but you don't have to stop here. The next video will be showing you how to use this image that we have created here to deploy your AVD host pool with your session host being created from these images. All right. And once that is done, we are going to go into the AVDs and you see that the same applications that were created on the VM, which I generalized, would then be existing in those AVDs. Your engineers don't have to do anything else. They just have to use the image to create the session host and they'll be fine. So see you in the next video. Don't go away. Do you need help configuring your Azure Virtual Desktop? Well, we are just a message away. You can reach us through our website on the contact page or send us an email at info@happycloudsolutions.com. Thank you for joining us in this video and see you in the next video where we actually create the AVDs with the just created image.